Hey, what's up? It's me, Jessica J, and I was just wondering if you've ever sat and thought to yourself, what does Jessica J think about dating advice on TikTok? Well, if so, I'm glad you asked because I've been hearing for a while that I should be on TikTok and all these other people are doing dating advice on TikTok, Jessica. And I was like, well, you know what? Let me just see what the other dating advice is saying and rip them a new one. I'm just kidding. Like all my other reaction videos, I've never even seen any of the advice on TikTok. I don't even have a TikTok. I don't even think I'm age eligible to be on TikTok. So to make sure you never miss out on another reaction video I do to the other dating advice out there or another one of my videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button with that notification bell. Okay, so let's just get right to it. I've never seen this before. My assistant sent me several TikTokies and I just picked this one. So yeah, let's go over it and see what the fuck they're saying.
4 things people often mistake for love. 1, constantly obsessing over somebody and feeling incomplete when they're not around. 2, constantly sacrificing your needs for someone else. 3, that happy feeling you get when your unhealthy wounds and coping mechanisms are enabled by somebody. And 4, constantly trying to change your partner instead of loving them patiently as an imperfect person who's in their process.
Okay, right there. I really like everything this lady has to say. And I've been guilty of that. One thing that, I think a lot of us confuse love with is that super out of control, super heightened feeling that we get, right? That, oh my God, I can't live without them, Jessica. But a lot of times those are just your attachment needs being triggered because you were failed as a child to get the love that you needed and deserved. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I should have done this like as the 1, 2, 3, but everything she said so far, I super dig it. I think it's really good. A lot of times men will write into me being like, Jessica, I loved her so much, I won't let her go. And really, that's y'all sacrificing your self-respect and dignity for the sake of chasing after somebody that once made you feel good. Maybe she never even made you feel good, but that hope was something in your life that really helped change your life because your life was that hopeless. So off the bat, I dig this chick. A for effort. On to the next one.
If my boyfriend doesn't text me all day long, that's fine. Honestly, we both live complex lives that make communicating difficult. But all I ask is that you send little updates that I know you're thinking of me and that you're safe. And if you don't see the value in that, I don't want it.
That I totally agree with. I think so many... I stopped talking to a dude who was like, I need somebody who's gonna text me all day, throughout the day, every day. And if I didn't respond to a text right away, he would flip the fuck out and block me. Actually, that's been more than one guy. But it's okay for you guys to not be in constant contact with one another. Before cell phones, you just had to wait longingly for your love to show up or call you. And not get a busy signal because your mom was on the phone. You didn't have call waiting back then. Either way, it's very healthy to have separate, independent lives where you don't have to constantly fucking be butt-fucking each other through text. I really like what she had to say about the little updates when you can't be in contact with one another. I've talked to several guys throughout the years who've been like, hey, I'm about to drive. I won't be able to talk. Or myself, I'll be like, hey, I'm not going to be reachable for a while because I'll be masturbating. Okay, on to the next.
Listen up. If you want to know what your relationship is made of and you don't want to become another divorce statistic, ask yourself, if all the other person could give you was their time, would you still give them yours?
If all the other person could give you was their time, would you still give them yours? If all you could give me was your time and you couldn't give me, the good D in Pound Town? Ugh. Or maybe that's what he means. I don't know. My love language is quality time and physical touch. So Pound Town is precedent. To be honest, I'm not even sure what he's saying. Am I dumb? Can somebody write in the comments what the hell he means? It wasn't life-changing or groundbreaking, but whatever. It seems like it was good enough to be included in this compilation, so power to him. On to the next.
Too many people mistake the binge and crash cycles of serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin, all of these brain chemicals that fire off in your brain in the first 6 months of a relationship or the honeymoon phase. It's the same as when you're taking drugs, what it releases. And you're mistaking that for falling in and out of love, but that's not what that is. And if you're looking for your relationship to keep your brain on a constant high, you're not looking for love, you're looking for addiction.
Ooh, I love that so much because there are plenty of people who come to me like, oh, I want it to feel like it did in the beginning. But listen, in the beginning, your body said, hey, this is a potential mate. Let's flood the body with all these hormones so we can super pound town and create a baby before a T-Rex murders us. So unless you're capable of continuing to date the person with whom you're in a relationship or continuing to spice things up, you are going to feel that crash a little bit. And if that is something that you are going to keep constantly chasing, then you're only going to let yourself down. Again, I see it so many times with people who've been married several times, with people who jump in and out of relationships so easily. They're looking for that high, but that high isn't meant to last. It's never meant to last because, again, your body creates that high for you to create a baby. And by the time, with every cycle that's passed with women, it's like, all right, I'm over it. You may be able to sustain it by, triggering one another and creating those highs and lows. And at the end of the day, if that's something you're chasing, if that's something in your vernacular in regards to what you are looking for, you better take a goddamn look at yourself because it ain't right. Okay, on to the next one.
Let's have a conversation y'all aren't ready to hear yet. There is a huge difference between saying I love you and I like you. A lot of people in relationships like to rush to say I love you and then get mad when their partner doesn't want to say it back yet. But what they're not realizing is me saying I like you can be way more flattering than me saying I love you. Because I can love you and not like you. You know how many family members you have that you love but you don't like? Just because I love you doesn't mean I like to spend time with you. But if I say I like you, that means I actually like you and like spending time with you. So if anything, you should be more flattered that I'm actually telling you that I like you instead of just rushing to say I love you and not meaning it. Being able to say I love you to your partner takes time. We have to have gone through some things so that I know we have resilience in our relationship to last. So me saying I like you means we are on a good track to seeing if I actually love you. So with that being said, please stop being so pressed about saying I love you.
Okay, bless his young ass, because I think it's very wise of him to be able to point out that distinction. I didn't know it was an issue, people being upset saying I like you. However, he totally hit the nail on the head. We are always going to love our family members, our friends. Maybe not always, but we will always feel that unconditional care and concern for these people. But unconditional care and concern for a significant other, I think it does take time. I think it does take finding out who they are, finding a way to really know them and understand them on a familial level and a familiar level. And if you like them first, that's fantastic because that means you enjoy them and they enjoy you. I know for me, if I get to a point where I tell a guy oh my God, I really like you, I know that now that's started the ball rolling to see whether or not he can even be in my life. I don't do that with fucking everyone. You shouldn't either, and she shouldn't. So yeah. If you're having issues with the word like versus love, don't get all bent out of shape out of it and appreciate it for what it is.
All right, here's a weird psychological trick to help you get over that breakup. I get it. The flowers are dead. All the chocolates have been eaten. And it's time to get over that heartache from Valentine's Day. Well, so our brains are really unique because we only remember things that are associated with high emotion. Now, it could be good emotion. It could be negative emotion. Doesn't really matter. It just will remember if we've had a lot of emotion associated with something. So relationships obviously generally have both. You have good experiences that are high emotion, and then you have maybe negative experiences that are high emotion as well. So your brain tends to remember all these things. And getting over that can be very difficult. Now, here is a trick that you can use to help you get over that person very quickly. And that is to do something in a creative manner that's going to give you something that you want. So maybe you play music, maybe you write poetry, maybe you work good, maybe you're a day trader. Doesn't matter what you do, just get into work and focus on something that you want while you're working. Good luck.
That's really interesting because the last video I did was basically kind of along the lines of how to let her go, how to stop caring so that she starts chasing you. And it sounds like this is a little bit along those premises, those similar premises, in that doing something, he says, creative for yourself to get something you want. I talked about bettering yourself, bettering your situation, leveling up in any way, shape, or form than how you were when you were with her, or maybe you never got to be with her. But I totally agree. I think they call it esteemable acts in the addiction model, is when you do things that are very cause and effect for something you did that caused something good for yourself. And being able to do that is a very good serotonin boost when it comes to being in a breakup or amidst a breakup. What you're doing is you're showing yourself how capable you are of producing good feelings for yourself, when really you can't control heartache, right? So I think that's a really, really good psychological tip. I never really heard it put in those words, but I do appreciate it and I do agree with it.
Tips for a long-lasting relationship? Why, yes, indeed. Not only have I been with my husband for 14 years, but we haven't had a fight in 5. So first of all, understand how to not turn little things into big fights, which means you have to know how to manage your thoughts and your emotions and also your impulse.
Okay, I'm going to say right now, as a therapist, I remember we would do supervision meetings where all the therapists would get together and we'd basically just talk about our cases, right? And I remember anytime a couple came in, or anytime me or one of my colleagues had a couple that wasn't fighting, we all used to be like, oh God, because nothing's worse than a couple that doesn't fight. At least when you're fighting, you're throwing everything out onto the table, so you know what to work with. But to pride yourself on, me and my husband haven't had a fight, I bet you're not fucking either. Am I right? I bet I am. All right, let's see what else she has to say.
That impulse to say the stuff that comes to your head without really thinking about it first. Yeah, I used to have that one too. So in order to do that, you must start meditating, because it's going to reduce your anxiety, stress, and fear. You know, those emotions that you kind of vomit on your partner whenever they get overwhelming? Deal with that shit, my love. Go to my YouTube channel, find my Let's Meditate playlist, and start plugging in with headphones. I got great tracks on there that are going to help your brain. Next, understand gender differences so you don't get pissed off at normal stuff.
Okay, before I get into that, that's got to be the worst thing I've ever fucking heard. Oh, just meditate so you don't say what's really going on for you. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard. I think, if you have something to say it. At least you can work with it. Again, going back to, when I was a therapist, working with all these other therapists, nothing was creepier than couples who didn't fight or couples who didn't say what the fuck they were really thinking and the feelings they were really feeling. At least if you're saying what you're really thinking and what you're really feeling, you may have an incorrect perspective on what your partner did. However, at least it's out on the table and you know how to resolve it. To be like, oh my God, I'm like really triggered because he never came home last night. I'm just gonna meditate. They actually say resentment builds from a boundary not placed. So if you're just sitting there shutting the fuck up because you meditated away all your legitimate concerns, you're just going to eventually build a lot of resentment in that relationship. And that's one of the 4 horsemen, according to Gottman, that will kill your relationship in the end, inevitably. All right, she talks about gender differences, knowing gender differences, and I guess that's what this channel is about. So let's hear what she has to say, even though she's off to a pretty shitty start.
Be sure you read Fix That Shit so you know how to resolve conflict too. Boop.
Wow. All right. That was just a plug for her book. And I think that's the last one. But we're going to leave it at that. If you want a better way to communicate with women so that you're in the driver's seat, so that you are the leader, and that women are following you around trying to get in your passenger seat, don't forget to check out my Speak to Spark Arousal system at speaktosparkarousal.com. Overall, I would say with the exception of the last lady, this TikTok advice was pretty all right. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing too groundbreaking. But if you guys have any suggestions for something else you want me to do a reaction video to, please don't hesitate to comment in the section below. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time.